How many people in this room love Colorado? All right. We got skiing, we've got nature, we've got some of the best culture in the world in Colorado, and I'm so excited as a Boulder native and a member of the Colorado crypto community to commune with you in this venue for the next several days. One of my favorite things is my global blockchain friends and my Colorado community members coming together and just celebrating the possibility of what we can do in this space. And so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kevin Owocki. I started Gitcoin, which is a place that you can... yeah, thanks. Gitcoin's a place that you can get coins. And we're hosting a one-day mini conference about how crypto can regenerate the world on Thursday, so come to that on the 17th at the Sports Castle. And I want to talk about one specific way that I think that crypto can regenerate the world, or at least crypto native primitives can regenerate the world, and how we used it in Boulder, Colorado to help downtown businesses in Boulder, Colorado adapt to the coronavirus pandemic and the lack of foot traffic that caused to their downtown businesses. And of course, having a downtown business is a public good, and public goods are good, am I right? Yes. And so what we wanted to do was use quadratic funding, which is something that is used on Gitcoin grants and has delivered about $50 million worth of funding to the Ethereum ecosystem. And what we wanted to do was backport that into supporting our local downtowns in Boulder, Colorado. And that is what this presentation is about. I'm gonna aim to do like 5 or 10 minutes of talking, and then I'd love to just have a discussion. So if you take yourself back to February 2020, Boulder businesses are in trouble, and they're not getting a lot of support from the local government, and they're not getting a lot of support from their consumers, where the foot traffic has just gone down 90-something%. And so I got together with Katie Johnson and Zach Herring, who are two of my compatriots at Consensus, where Gitcoin was funded. And we just basically started doing user research on how that was affecting people downtown. I think that we may not be able to get the audio of this. John, I can just kind of talk about it if not. Maybe play a minute of just hearing the depth of how much these people were in pain because of the coronavirus pandemic.
This long, ever. We don't own comic book stores to make money. We own comic book stores because we love what we do. So a lot of us don't have much to fall back on. Last October, he did an out, so that cost me $10,000 per place, and that's all my cash to do. So
we have quite a few people who, when they buy from us, they tell us, hey, we want to support you. We love you. You're part of what makes Boulder.
So John, maybe we can cut it there. I think people get the idea. But you come back to where we were in January through March of 2020 with the pandemic, and it was just very clear that our economies had been shuttered, and the people who are not privileged enough to work in technology, who work on retail businesses, who are essential workers, are the ones that are suffering. And one of the things that we wanted to do was leverage quadratic funding, which is a primitive that we have prototyped on Gitcoin, and it's Vitalik and Glenn's idea, in order to support the public good, the livable downtown in Boulder, Colorado. And this is really a big test of taking something that's been prototyped in the crypto environment and bringing it mainstream. So why does quadratic funding apply to this use case, to funding public goods, both online and in the real world? Well, basically quadratic funding is just a matching campaign in which you basically raise a matching pool. In the case of the downtown Boulder experiment, we did $25,000 matching pool, which Gitcoin supported, a local philanthropist, Brad Feld, supported. And what we did was we matched contributions from the crowd to these businesses. And the whole idea behind quadratic funding is that it optimizes for the preferences of the poor and the many as opposed to the rich and the few. So the magic of quadratic funding, as it was applied in the downtown stimulus, was that if a business that has $10 in contributions from 10 different contributors is basically running a crowdfunding campaign, and another business that is supported by people who have more money, $10 from one contributor, then quadratic funding allocates more of the capital according to the preferences of the poor and the many, as you can see in this calculation right here. So quadratic funding is a credibly neutral funds distribution mechanism for supporting public goods, and we wanted to use it in supporting downtown Boulder businesses. And the whole idea was that the same psychology that works on Gitcoin grants, where you give $1 and you get $10 or $20 or $100 of matching, works outside of crypto, and that's what we wanted to prototype. And so, you know, what is really interesting is starting to look at Gitcoin grants as a cohort over time of building up a signal preference of what people in the community care about. During Gitcoin grants round 1, we raised $38K from 200 contributions, and this is a graph of what those contribution, that signal preference map looks like. So each edge is a transaction and each user is a grant or each node is a user or a grant. And over time, as Gitcoin grants grew, it looks like maybe my GIFs are taxing the Wi-Fi, you start to see a denser preference map of what the Ethereum community cares about on Gitcoin grants. And so I bring this up so that as we talk about the Boulder Downtown Stimulus Program, you realize that like we're running a cohort where Gitcoin grants is kind of 12 rounds ahead of where this downtown stimulus round was, but it's just in that starting that first round, we can kind of play forward how deep the signal preference, the preferences that can be aggregated by quadratic funding, and how much it scales more than the local government deploying funds. This is something that works at web scale, provides a credibly neutral, low overhead way of creating extremely legitimate funding is sort of the theory. So the idea here was that we wanted to empower the community to signal what's important, and we wanted to provide a stimulus from a central matching pool and match the impacts of private citizens' donations, and like just get rid of the red tape in supporting our public goods by taking this crypto primitive and doing it. So basically built a tool, downtownstimulus.com, launched a pilot over the course of a couple weeks. And here are some of the stats. We had 325 donors that raised 16K. So 16K from the crowd, 25K from the matching pool. And I think that like, I just fucking love the idea that crypto can regenerate the world and we can backport this mechanism that we prototyped in crypto, and that the psychology just works exactly the same. So thank you to the businesses that we worked with in downtown Boulder. Thank you to everyone who supports Gitcoin grants. And thank you especially to everyone who is changing the narrative that crypto is just a big decentralized casino towards one about crypto regenerating the world.